What's up, YouTube? Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Thank you guys for watching this video. As always, I appreciate everybody who has commented, shared, and subscribed to my channel. It is so good to have this time to record a video. Truck driving gets so busy. I honestly have been in a non-creative funk, and I'm trying to get myself out of it. So right now I'm actually on my 34-hour reset, and I'm alone in the truck. I came up here to vacuum because we've been bringing our dog with us, and I have been adamant that I am not gonna let her take over my life at home and on the truck. So I came up here to vacuum. Nonetheless, I wanted to make a video real quick for you guys and talk about safety and how you can protect yourself on this road. So with me now dedicating my Instagram account specifically to bring more attraction to my YouTube channel, and so they correlate, I start to get a lot of questions from women in particularly of how we protect ourselves and stay safe on this road. So I will be honest, I think I talked about this in another video, but when I first started driving trucks, I didn't get the best response from the people closest to me, if I'm being completely honest. You know, everybody thought that it was such a dangerous job, and women honestly aren't in this field. It's a male dominated industry, which it is, but it's not like it used to be. So I want to talk about a few things that you can do to protect yourself on the road, and of course how you can be a little more comfortable if you are deciding or thinking about getting into the trucking industry. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it. Well, actually, I'll take that back. So before we get into it, leave me a comment on how you guys' trucking journey is going as well. I have comments of people telling me that they are thinking about getting into the trucking industry. They're currently in school and they found my videos, they found them useful, they found them funny. You know, they're thinking about enrolling, they have a friend that's thinking about it, but then that's it. You know, I don't hear anything else. So I really want to know where you are in your trucking industry. How did it go? Did you ever get your license? Did you start with the company? Did you look at the companies that I was with before? So I really want you guys to engage with me there. But okay, let's get into it. Like I said, I wanted to talk about protecting yourself on the road, and then I'm gonna give you guys a little story time of just, you know, how some things have been going for me out here, because I am at my 1-year mark of being a CDL holder. Like, let me pat myself on the back, because your girl wanted to quit so many times, but she out here doing her thing. So okay, first things first, we often get asked, you know, can you carry weapons? What should you carry? You know, things of that nature. Like, do people bother you? How do you stay under the radar? First things first, every company is different, and I want to say that as a disclaimer. Everybody has their own rules on what they allow you to carry on your truck. Now, my company in particularly, I know it's written in the handbook that you can carry knives or weapons that are the size of your palm. I have a little hand, so that means I can carry, you know, a little pocket knife. They don't allow certain sprays. They don't allow mace and tasers and things of that nature. But they will give you a handbook. So the first thing I will advise is checking your company's handbook if you have questions on what is allowed and what is not allowed. Second thing, my company has that specific rule about the weapon the size of your hand, but other companies that I've known and that I've heard about allow you to carry whatever, but it's based on the laws of each state. So some companies will say you can carry whatever you want in your truck. Whatever that means to you is whatever that means to them. You know what I'm saying? But once you go into certain states, you are required to follow those guidelines of that specific state. So some states may be concealed carry, some states may be open carry, some states, you know, you just have to follow the guidelines of that state. And if you get pulled over by DOT, you are responsible for making sure you're following those guidelines, okay? So aside from the weapons, you know, I always encourage women to specifically stay under the radar when you go into the trucking area. So maybe you're a woman that's not comfortable with carrying weapons. You might poke yourself, you might spray yourself, you might, you know, some people just are really not comfortable with that stuff. The best advice I can give you, if you're a woman that's not comfortable with doing that, don't be afraid. You should not live your life in fear. You should be conscious. You should always be aware of your surroundings, but you should not live your life in fear, because that is going to be the number one thing that cause you to make mistakes and possibly overreact. Let's say, for instance, you have to stop at a truck stop and you're a new driver, you know, you've never done this before, you've ran out your clock, it's getting dark, and you know, you need to take a shower. So what I would do is try to find a parking spot closest to the lighting area as possible. Now, when I was solo, because you guys know I was solo before I started team driving, I would run my clock to where I did not have to try to find a parking spot in the middle of the night. Because truthfully, by 7 or 8 o'clock, those parking lots are full. It's kind of hard to get a really good parking spot. So I used to start my clock around 5 in the morning, and then maybe 12 hours later was 5 in the afternoon. You know, it was still light outside during the summertime, so I was finding pretty good parking spots. And even though it was in the middle of daytime, I was still trying to, you know, park as close to the door as possible or park up under a light pole. Now, aside from trying to find good parking spots, I'll give you the honest truth about being a woman truck driver. So I honestly should have said this first. When you're out on the road, there are going to be people that try to say things to you. You know, there might be compliments and they don't mean any harm by it. They just want to tell you that you're beautiful, or they just want to tell you that, you know, they're happy to see you out here and you're a woman. So you're already a rare breed. But for the most part, truck drivers are minding their damn business. Like, when you pull into truck stops, there is very far few in between times where I see people out mingling and talking to each other and having a barbecue and having a kickback. Maybe back in the day it was like that. Now when I pull into truck stops and rest areas, it's like everybody is just in their bunk, you know, minding their business. Now, if you want to make it known that you're in your truck and you on the CB radio, letting your truck number out and inviting people over, by all means, you're going to put yourself in danger. But like I said, when I was solo, I would pull into a truck stop, pull into a rest area, turn my truck off, pull my curtains, lock my doors, put the seatbelts through my doors, and go to bed. I wasn't out trying to kick it. If there were situations where I had to shower when it got a little dark, or I had to shower early in the morning before the sun came up, I let people know my whereabouts. So that's another point. If you're going to be out here solo and you are on the little more afraid side, and let's just say intimidated, because, you know, it's really nothing to be afraid of, but let's say you're a little more on the intimidated side, let people know where you are. There's so many different ways to track each other. Like, you can send somebody your location. You can make a phone call, say, hi, I'm at truck stop such and such. You know, you can just let your family and friends know where you are if it is a situation that you're in that you're uncomfortable. Talk to somebody on the phone. I did that a lot as well. When I would walk into truck stops, I would talk to people on the phone the whole entire time until maybe I got into the restroom or until I got into the shower. And then once I got out, I would call them back, let them know that I locked my doors and I was going to bed. You know, and also another thing is truck drivers stick together. If you're in a situation where you're uncomfortable, you can let the people at the counter know, or you can let somebody else know that's pumping fuel next to you, like, hey, that's making me feel a little uncomfortable. You know, we really do stick together and look out for each other. If you haven't seen that based off the situation, I'm not going to talk about it too much in depth, but if you haven't seen that based off the situation that's going on in Colorado, then you're kind of sleeping. That's just one way that truck drivers stick together. Also, another way to protect yourself is by getting a CB radio. You know, if there's, Lord forbid, there's ever a situation that you are just on the side of the road, or you're in a situation where you're stuck, you can get on the CB radio and, you know, you can tell people what's going on. That's how truck drivers communicate with one another out on the road. It is very helpful, the CB. I don't have one. I should have gotten one and had my company reimburse me. But that is like on my list of things to do right away, is get a CB radio. There are also specific locks that I use when I go into the shower to give myself a little extra security. There's 3 different locks when you go into the shower. So of course you have to put in your PIN. That is a secure lock. Then you have the one that usually is either like it looks like a key, but you push it in. And then also there's a latch that even if somebody got past the PIN number, if somebody got past that lock, even if they open the door, that latch will make it bounce back. But also on Amazon, I've purchased a lock. I'll put a picture up of it, but I purchased a lock that you stick in between the little door part, the door handle, and the wall, and it's super easy to use. It's really recommended for kids to use because it's so simple to use, you know, but it's effective. So you can also use that type of lock if you're going into the showers or you're going into a restroom. When I was also in training, they really emphasized on trip planning. I think another reason that I started to enjoy trucking so much more is because I learned how to effectively trip plan. Now, every trip planning isn't going to be perfect, but it is really effective when you take your time out to look over your route. You take the time to look over the different truck stops and rest areas and truck parking places that you can go and where you can fit your trailer into when you're out on the road, so you can kind of plan based off of your clock where you're going to stop for that night. So when I was in driving school, they really put a lot of emphasis on that because they believe that if you can't trip plan properly, one, you're not going to deliver that load on time, and two, if something happens and you get lost, then you need to be able to know where you are, and you need to be able to locate, and they need to be able to locate you as well. So there's no load, of course, that's worth your life. And that saying goes with more than just weather. You know, you always hear that about being applied to, well, the weather, don't drive if it's too windy, don't drive if it's too snowy, don't drive if it's too rainy. Those things are absolutely true. But also, if you're in an uncomfortable situation, don't deliver the load. You know what I'm saying? It's always, there's no load worth your life. And then at the end of the day, if something happens to that load, then the company is responsible for it. So I'll tell you guys the honest to God truth. When I was on my very first account with this company, of course, that I'm still with, I didn't have the best comfort with how that account was ran. Without giving too much detail of what type of account I was on, there were certain situations where they wanted me to overpark overnight at specific stores. And let's just say I was delivering high value items, okay? And I would go to specific areas that were not the most comfortable for me because I wasn't from there. Now, had you sent me to a neighborhood that I'm from, I would have felt a little differently. I would be hundreds of miles away from home, and they would send me to a neighborhood that I wasn't the most comfortable with this high value load, and they would want me to overnight park. And there have been times where I had gotten into, you know, back and forth conversation with my dispatchers because they wanted me to overnight park, and I'm like, well, no, I will just leave a little earlier to make that delivery, because if something, you know, somebody knows that I'm in this truck, yeah, I'm gonna try to defend myself the best I can, but I'm a woman, you know what I'm saying? So I try not to put myself in those type of situations, and those are situations where you can say this load is not worth my life. I know that with trucking, you are in situations that are not best and not suitable for you or your morals or your values, but at some point you do have to draw the line because they will force you to do things. I've been in multiple situations that I can think of where my previous dispatcher tried to force me to do things that I was totally uncomfortable with. So you have to stand up for yourself as well. And that is also part of being out on this road. People will try to bully you. That is the honest to God truth. As a woman, people will try you. They will try you more than they try the men, of course. Just last week, I had pulled into a TA, and I pulled alongside the, God darn it, I pulled alongside the scale. And it was because me and Jeremy was switching over our clocks. It was only going to take us probably 10 minutes, 15 minutes at the most to switch our clocks over, let him get up, get into the store, use the restroom, and then we were going to drive off. So I pull in next to the scale. I'm not in anybody's way, but there's a TA tanker on the right side of me. No soon as I pop my brakes, put my truck in neutral, he come. And I'm looking like, what does he want? He like, you can't park here. I said, okay, it's just gonna be a couple minutes. So he like, okay, just a couple minutes, but you can't park here. There's trucks trying to come in and out on the side of you, and you're in the way. So I said, okay, I gotta switch my clock over. It's a couple minutes. Mind you, that man do not run that truck stop. Don't let nobody think that they run no damn truck stop, okay? Because unless it's somebody from the inside coming out telling you that you can't be somewhere, or it's a hazardous place to be, you know, or you're gonna just hurt yourself and hurt others, don't let people try to bully you, because they are truck drivers just like you. You know what I'm saying? So nonetheless, he come knocking on my window. I'm switching the clock over, and I was waking him up. So he finally up, and the truck driver, 5 minutes later, I kid you not, 5 minutes later, he come back knocking on the window. So I didn't say nothing. I'm in the passenger seat. I didn't say nothing. And I get Jeremy, because I'm not about to keep going back and forth with this man. I get Jeremy, I wake him up. I said, this man keep trying to tell me to move. I wake him up. I said, this man keep trying to tell me to move the truck. So of course he on it. He on play. He be ready. He roll the window down like, yeah, what's up? And so the man like, well, she said that she gon', and he said she gon'. Jeremy said she said she gonna move. You gonna have to hold on, bruh. And so he like, oh, she said it was just gonna be a couple minutes. He said, all right, well, it's gonna be a couple minutes. Give her some time. So the guy get all buck on his truck like, well, y'all need to move. And so Jeremy like, bye, get away from my truck, bye. And so so the tanker, he get back in his truck like, bye, yelling from his truck. Talk about some bye, I'll see you around, I'll see you. Sir, it's a TA. I understand that you're doing your job as well, but we were not in his way. He was done. We was not in his way. He just wanted to try to say something, and I think he said something because maybe I was, parked where I wasn't supposed to be, but it was only a couple minutes. We weren't going to park there overnight. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't our intention, and he didn't have to come at me all rude. I can recall another situation when I very first started driving. And I was trying to park. My parking wasn't the best. I'm trying to get into this parking spot between two trucks. It was the only place that I could park. And this other truck driver, he just waved me away. You know what I'm saying? Like, he just like, go park somewhere else. And at that time, I'm not gonna lie, at that time, I let him get that off. Now that I'm a little more experienced, now that I'm back, you make people wait, okay? Like, period. Don't let nobody rush you out here. Then another time, and then I'm gonna give y'all some more tips, because I got so many story times about stuff that be going on out here. But the last time I can recall, I'm at actually a shipper, and I pull up to the gate because I'm about to pull off. Now, mind you, this driver had been in this same spot since the time I pulled in, dropped my trailer, switched over our clock, hooked up our trailer, and then pulled up to the gate. So this was all in a matter of like a 30-minute span. So I pull up to the gate, and of course I got the trailer on the back of me, and I'm blocking maybe a couple doors that other drivers are in, but I'm leaving, so I had to get out, go get the person from the inside and tell them that I was ready to have my seal and, get all my paperwork. I come back out, and the guy, he like, can you move your trailer? And I'm looking like, you gonna have to wait. He said, can you just like scoot up a little bit? I'm trying to get out. I tell him like, well, you've been parked here ever since I've gotten here. I've been seeing you sit here, and you want to wait until I'm about to leave to try to tell me to move. And so he like, well, I'm just getting done, which might have been true. He may have just got done loaded, but that's not my problem. I'm about to leave, so you got to wait your turn. And he like, well, can you just please move your trailer? And so I scooted up a little bit, and he figured out how to maneuver around me, and he get in the truck all bouncing around, hitting the gas, making his cab shake, trying to get out. And I'm just looking at him like, you ain't got to do all that. Ladies, men will try you, and it's up to you to, be professional. Don't get me wrong. Always be professional, but always stand up for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, if something happened to you and you let somebody take advantage of you, you just got to use your common sense. Now, I know people who don't park at truck stops because they believe there's too much going on in truck stops. I know people who don't park at rest areas because they believe it's not enough going on at rest areas. So it's really up to your discretion. I will honestly say there's not much to be afraid of. There are situations that you can find yourself in that are scary. I have found myself in many situations where I was on the phone with another driver. I was scared. I've talked to my family. I was scared. But I've survived 100% of those situations. And I pray to God, of course, that I keep surviving them to continue to share my experience and should continue to encourage other women drivers to be out here. Because nonetheless, we do need to see more of ourselves out here. We do need that representation. And it's not to try to come take over the industry at all. It's just, that it needs to be a little more diverse. But I digress. That's going on to it. It's so crazy how Starbucks coffee be so freaking hot when you order it that you can't even drink it. Like, you tongue all burnt. And then you put it down for 10 minutes, pick it back up. I didn't talk to y'all, and now it's like lukewarm. So, oh, that's so good though. It's kind of cold here at home today. But also, ladies, use your common sense. Always, always use your common sense. Nobody knows who is in that truck unless you let yourself know. Unless you let yourself be known that you're in the truck. You know, if you're posting yourself and your truck number, and you know you're on the CB radio letting people know where you are, what you're doing, and you know you talking smack to people. And you know you just starting stuff and you just out doing the most, you're going to be noticed. But for the most part, truck drivers, it's not the truck drivers that you should be afraid of. I'm going to be honest, because situations happen, but for the most part, like I said, truck drivers be minding their damn business. We be tired. We done drove 11 hours. Ain't nobody got time to be fooling around out here. You know, at least I don't. I say that all the time. Some of the stuff that people got the stereotypes about truck drivers, I just don't understand how they be making time for it, because even on my 34-hour reset, I don't want to talk about trucks. I don't want to look at no truck. I don't want nobody to ask me about no truck. Like, I be tired. I really try to relax and get myself prepared for the next week. You know, trucking is a lifestyle. That's why they say don't get into it thinking that you just gonna have a job. It is truly a lifestyle, and so you have to be ready for that lifestyle. It's gonna be a change. You know what I'm saying? It's not gonna be you waking up, doing a 9-to-5 job, going back to your family. And I had a hard time adjusting to that when I was on my first account, and I think that's why part of the reason I will always get into it with my dispatcher, because I wasn't used to the type of lifestyle that I was entering into. But now that I've been adjusted, I do believe that I can speak on certain things that I've experienced out here and, you know, talk to our newer drivers. My channel really does bring on the people that are looking to get into trucking and the ones that are either in the early stages of driving. And that's what I really enjoy, because a lot of the experienced drivers, they have so many stories and I'm sure they can relate, and I kind of jog their memory. But the newer drivers are the ones that really need their hand held out here, and that was me. I'm unashamed to say that I really did. Now I'm in the swing of things, but for the most part, I remember being there. You know, I remember having those conversations with my family about like, well, you're just gonna be out there, you know, like what happens when those drivers and those trucks are on the side of the road? Now that I know they taking a reset, they need a break. You know what I'm saying? They tired probably, and truck drivers should be respected. They should be honored, you know what I'm saying? Because we really do keep the bloodline. We are the bloodline to this country. And so with all that being said, I really hope that I gave you guys something that you can take away. Like before, and I'll always say this on every video, thank you guys so much for watching, commenting, subscribing, and sharing my channel. I am going to do much better with uploading, because I have a vision for my channel that I am trying to fulfill, and it can only be done with consistency. So as always, thank you guys so much for joining me, and see you next time.